Hello, Flying Club members. Jason Higgins, maintenance officer for the club. Here to briefly talk about a standard operating procedure we're implementing effective immediately. Rather than taking our fuel samples and putting it in these gallon jugs, we have purchased fuel sample strainers, otherwise known as GATS jars, for each hangar, each plane, and we'll be pouring our sampled fuel directly back into the fuel tank of each plane after you take your sample. So for those that aren't familiar with the GATS jar, I just wanted to briefly show you how it works. So the way you do it, you go about taking your samples just like you've always done. You take your sample, you check a sample, now you just go to take your next sample right on top of that one, obviously checking it after each sample. There's a white sticker, which is nice and convenient for checking the fuel color. And so once you've filled it up, done all your samples, you then would go and pour it back in the plane tank. So I've got another GATS jar here that doesn't have any fuel in it, and there you can see the screen. So when you take your sample, the fuel's going to go down here, unfiltered into the bottom of the jar. And then when you pour it back in the tank, you're going to tip it over and you're going to pour out through the screen, which is going to separate any particles that might be in the fuel. It'll also hold any water that was in the fuel in the jar. So just be careful when you're pouring in. You don't tip too far and dump fuel out the open holes in the top. One other item to note is that the fuel probe or rod mechanism comes out. It can be flipped over for different types of sumps, and you obviously want to make sure that's locked in there. I think all our planes are just going to stay on one side, so that should never come out for us, but you want to make sure it's in there locked in good so it doesn't get dumped into the fuel tank. I think that's it. If you have any questions, let me know.